Abria. All right. Hey guys, getting ready to do a live enlightened conversation here with international speaker, sound healer, Abria Joseph. If you guys want to tune in, I'm going to give you the Zoom link. You guys can come join us on Zoom if you want to see us both at the same time. Live with at you're Abria Joseph. Do you have an underscore at the end, if my memory serves? Or is it just Abria Joseph and that's it? Oh no, you're Prana. You're I remember. You're
yeah, Prana Force.
Tell it to me real quick. Prana Force
Yoga, and then RIA, Yoga Bria.
Okay. Oh, got it. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with me. I am trying to let as many people play with us as possible tonight. If anybody wants to join us on Zoom, you can go to universalabundance.co/Abria podcast. All right, that's right. Okay. Join us on Zoom. Universal Abundance. Just typing this last web address out and we will begin. .co/Abria podcast. Spelled it right? Yes. Awesome. All right, let's begin. Recording here on Zoom. All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and have an awesome guest with us who I'm excited to flow some beautiful energy with. We have Abria Joseph, who right now is tuned in the Bali, Indonesia area, and just returned there from Maui, Hawaii, and been excited to co-create with Abria for a while now, and timing is now aligned for us to do so. And Abria is a sound healer, a yogi master, and international speaker, and I actually discovered him. It was during a Facebook event, probably 6 months ago or so, and he was playing just a beautiful handpan, and I was just getting familiar with that instrument, and I was like, wow, like it's a beautiful. If you haven't listened to any of that, make sure you connect with Abria. We'll give you links on YouTube and listen to what he does with the sound healing and all of these things. But just excited to vibe some awesome energy with him today. You guys can tune in with us on Zoom if you're inspired to and see us both. But without further ado, from me, I want to introduce you guys to Abria, or reintroduce some of you guys to Abria. And if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all these good things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want to say thank you also for staying in touch, allowing the flow to take us to this moment for some time. The practice that I'm integrating, lifestyle, dreaming, and integrating all that with people that are like-hearted, that are into co-creating and sharing insights that we can all learn from, which is aligned with what you had shared with me initially and what you offer, and just a platform for people to share authentically and vulnerably so they can be empowered, and along with all the practices of teaching yoga over years, and newly playing an instrument, as I've never played an instrument before, and I feel that that's inspiring me to share it and see what sticks and who is drawn into that field, energetically, aesthetically, anything in it. So really grateful to be here and share and just be another one of the practitioners of dreamers.
I love it, brother. I love it. So you're new to playing an instrument, and the handpan is awesome. It's very intuitive. Like you're in the flow, and you're like the ones that I've seen you share. You're just letting the feeling and the movement come through you, and the sound that comes through is very awesome. Like that's the best way I could describe it. It's very intuitive, instrument. Is that how you would? I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't know what I'm talking about. Highly recommend you go tune into Abria's sound healings, because it's just awesome. Like your vibe, if you connect with it and are present, it'll take you to a beautiful place. Is that how you would describe that instrument?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all so individual, which is pretty cool. You know, the instruments that are built that are really well tuned are basically sound sculptures of modern day human tuning technologies. Basically, it's an instrument that an individual that's never played an instrument before, like myself. I mean, I've hit a djembe, I've played quarter in elementary school, and that's about it. You know, but within this particular instrument, it's such direct feedback that it shows and reflects a lot of the player in regards to. It's not like I'm playing it's playing me based on how well I can connect with my senses. And then in that, there's sound that comes back as feedback. So you can see a visual yantra, which is when you look at a piece of art from Tibet and it's a yantra, it's a visual draw, just like Egyptian architecture. When you look at it, you're just going into some other space, but all you're doing is looking. You're not hearing anything yet. But now if you're looking and you're hearing, your senses are maybe more engaged or open. And eventually, I feel like it's a way for people to be able to play an instrument and connect with themselves. So that's pretty cool.
I love it. I love it. Let's go back. I always love to humanize guests, because if anybody is already connected with Abria, you know he shares like just awesome things like that he's inspired to share. And I always like to humanize the guest, and knowing that all of us come here to this beautiful planet as unconditional loving little babies, and then I jokingly say most of us, but most likely it's all of us. We forget who we truly are and maybe start comparing ourselves to others, wondering why we're really here, questioning are we enough, our worthiness, the things that we experience here as humans. So jokingly, did you go from unconditional loving little baby to what we see here today, or was there some period of evolution, maybe forgetting who you truly were and then rediscovering as you go here? How did that work for you?
Yeah, you know, it's from a Western programmed individual and drawing it back to a child that is influenced based on environment, parents, religion, etc. I'm just an average person that really sought to remember, you know, what our true resonance is, which is innocence and peace. And until things shifted and we were told that we couldn't do things, or we were programmed to say things in a certain way based on, you know, our background or our ethnicity. And I think that's when I started really questioning whether, you know, I'm meant to go and play professional football and go smash people on the field and get the accolades of being the leader with in regards to showing people how to do that, because I do it because I want to be the one that leads. So I would have to sacrifice myself first and show people how it's done. But not everyone has that need. So I think it's important that the time that I learned through sports, education, and then business, all of the things that we're inspired to do based on our environment, because that's what we're told. I never had a sovereign choice to go back or to reflect on the fact that I don't need to do these. I want to do these things because it will allow me to have some experience, recognition, acknowledgement, and then all it does in the deep end is I now, because I've committed so deeply with education and finances and so on, now I have to do it because I bought into it. Because what else am I going to do, right? What's my new profession? I never planned to play before, right? I never planned to teach yoga. But because of that were offered to my experience here, then I was able to then explore and breath work and sound, where that wasn't influenced to me early on. I wasn't offered it. But, you know, we have a bit of a karmic path in regard to Dharma and what we're really meant to do here. But performance as well. So, yeah, I would say that a lot of it matched personally, physically, mentally, whatever archetype I could envision. And it's the only way that I've been able to know that, going deep doesn't mean getting really deep yoga posture. Going deep is going into the mind and realizing where the universe exists is within us. And that's like a bit of an airy-fairy spiritual idea, but it makes sense if practice of that. If they don't practice it, then I can't put it on anyone or myself. But it's all between, my own personal distance as an adult, male, of ethnicity, to my innocent period of a child, and my inner child stuff comes back out, and I lash, scream, and I'll yell, and then maybe even out loud. But most of it happens in the mind.
Super interesting. Our paths parallel when it comes to sports background. When you said that, the first person that popped in my head was ex-pro football player Troy Polamalu. Immediately he popped into my head when you said that. And I was a baseball player, and that was like my whole identity was tied into that, and I thought I was going to play professionally, and I actually needed the pain and the depressing. Probably the lowest point of my life is when at 21 I had an injury, and all of a sudden I couldn't throw. I was on a path to go play pro, and then all of a sudden within a year and a half I never played again, and it was so sudden. And I was like, my whole identity was I'll be happy when I go pro, so that I can retire my parents, so I can help them who were struggling at the time, or so I could do all the things that I envisioned doing. And it was just a really dark time for many years in my 20s until I realized that there was way more going on in this universe, who I truly was. I call it the light bulb moment. And for all of us realizing that there's none of us that ever will completely evolve, like it all, and there's no more room for growth. Like this is a forever thing. But I call it the light bulb moment as far as realizing that, becoming aware of that, and then being open to all the things that you describe when it comes to your yoga journey, your breathwork journey, or whatever tools that we attract that will help us. For me, a lot of the things that I needed were to attract people, came from the hands of other people that said, Noel, like, I see how much you want to do things in humanity. Like, have you heard of this? Or have you read this book? Or have you? And so just being open, and that's like my biggest recommendation for everybody in humanity is if you can open yourself up to new awareness coming from anyone, anytime, at any moment, it will be continuous for the entire time that you're here. You'll start growing on purpose versus, what a lot of people are doing, or what I was doing before I turned 25, 38 now, was just growing by only life experiences, and a lot of them painful. Some of them pleasurable, but everything in between. And that's part of it. We came here for that. But if we also can open up for things to synchronistically show up, that it will take us to the next phase of our journey. It's beautiful. That's what I heard from you when you described that. For you, did it happen through the hands of another person that said, Abria, like, check this out? Or were you just searching for things? Like, how did that go from wanting to smash people football wise to all of a sudden you're on this path? Was there a specific moment you could point back to that you remember?
I think it's an accumulation of moments that started happening to the point where, regardless of one's awareness in regards to the environment that they're in, but when we start seeing patterns enough time where we know that we are hurting somebody or we're hurting ourselves. So for me, it was physical injuries. If I have enough physical injuries happening constantly, maybe I'm not meant to play this game. Maybe I'm meant to go deeper in a different way. And would it require me surrendering the personality that I've been conditioned and programmed and developed so far? Absolutely, because I would have to destroy everything that I think I know. And that's not an easy thing, being a male that's playing sports. Like when you had mine was a similar scenario, and I was on the field on the day that the scout was there from the University of Hawaii looking for the position that I was playing, and I was primed. I did everything in preparation for it, right? You're ready to go pro into that next level, and all we had to do is have an opportunity to get seen. And that's the whole thing. We want to be. That's why we chase the moment in anything that we do or dream. We move from getting on the gas when it's just yellow. We don't have to do that, but we're in a rush to be somewhere aside from the moment, when the moment is what we're seeking. So to answer your question, it's constantly catching and watching and observing those moments until the point where we either decide and realize that these aren't just synchronicities, this shit's happening on purpose. For us to either awaken and realize that we are abundant already, or that we'll constantly be chasing something outside of ourselves, realizing that we're not whole in who we are. Now, how do we practice that on a daily, on a regular, moment by moment experience? That would require a huge why. We'd have to be willing to take on full responsibility to our engagement to anyone and everyone, because we influence everything around us. So unless someone sees us in the embodiment of divine masculine or divine feminine or whatever it is that's more of a trend right now that you can put words on, but no one actually knows how to embody it fully, it's just all talk. So it's like all those accumulated moments started getting so physically, for me, it's 3D, right? I have a lot of insights beyond this dimension that I play on the instrument. For example, I can close my eyes and go through a complete channel, and I don't know where I'm touching it because I can see it from inside. How does that happen? I have no idea. It's part of a gift. Cool. How do you explain that? How do you teach that? Well, you have to practice it, I would say. I'd have to practice, swinging the bat with my eyes closed. Could you visualize it beforehand? Absolutely. What do you think the pros do? You know what I mean? These are just like little practices that, when integrated and over time and a lot of failure, which is actually success, if we want to get an idea of harmony, allows people to make one of the shots that they finally take. Like Michael Jordan used to say, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. So we have to be willing to kind of lose it all. And I'm willing to do that in every moment, because I have no real fear of being homeless or dying or going to prison, because I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. If I can imagine it, then technically it's real, because it's between the ears. The idea is what I actually do in my creativity in the moment, because we all are here to create. So it's kind of finding that momentum where we feel supported, but at the same time sovereign, like we're not being pushed to do it, right? We really want to do it because we're genuinely interested. And that allows us to kind of destroy a lot of illusions that aren't actually real, which are usually stories of fear. And the acronym that I use in Dream It Real, a TED Talk I did years ago, was false evidence appearing real. Because if something hasn't happened that isn't real, then I'm realizing I can change that story and rewrite the whole idea of that just by visualizing what it is that I do wish to see and how I do feel to be of service. And that's a super kinetic, I talk about it in a lot of stories and teacher trainings for yoga. Because it's not easy for people to become embodied when they just want to have a nice photo on Instagram of what their shape of their body looks like. And now all of a sudden we can call it yoga and commentary. And again, I totally get it, but if we want to program ourselves, we have to look at where we are. So that's a practice that I'm being like, it wasn't one particular thing that got me to this point in regards to anything in particular, aside from I love to imagine. And I think that's where we can really look back at a child or a young being coming in and how creative they are with their imagination, until one day parents, teachers, someone says that's not realistic, or don't dream like that, and then all of a sudden the purity shifts to a little bit more hardened, calcified present moment, and then they may feel that to be the truth. It could be somebody else's truth, but I'm also discerning with what other people say, unless they're where I wish to be physically, mentally, spiritually. I have a sovereign choice, right? It's like everyone does, but because of how maybe social media or things are set out, it may be not as easy to choose. So,
Abria, you just said some things in there like that where I got to point out, because this will inspire any of you. If you guys spaced on this, you're not going to be able to rewind right now. However, when this is out into the world, rewind and listen to the journey that Abria just took us on, because one thing that he mentioned, and I love to remind all of us of this because it's so important, he mentioned that all of us are creators. And you guys have heard this before. You know this. However, do we realize and can we remind ourselves that all of our life experiences, whether they be the most pleasurable or the most painful, the most traumatic, like those life experiences are the whole reason that we even have the desires that we have in the first place. And there's no creation without a desire first to create. Like if everything was rainbows, unicorns, and gummy bears dancing around, we wouldn't create anything. So the world would stop evolving, and eventually, like there would be no reason for us to be here. And so it's just beautiful to remember this, because as we're talking about practicing, all that a practice is just having additional life experiences in a certain direction, going in a direction that matters to you. So you have a traumatic experience, and you're like, ooh, that relationship was really, really rough. Like we probably all had relationships in our life, whether it be intimate or friendship or family, that was really difficult. And at the same time, now, like Abria mentioned, if you can allow yourself to ask yourself the question, what is it that I would like to see in this area of relationship? And you can actually visualize it. It's real. Like you can actually, you can see it, you can smell it, you can taste it, you can touch it, because you've experienced the opposite of it. And so if we allow ourselves as creators to put our energy and attention on that, we're going to see physical manifestation of whatever it is. Now, one of the biggest human conditions that I see, and I was here, I'm sharing it, nothing new for anybody. It's not teaching you anything. It's just reminders, and life experience has reminded me of this so much, where we focus so much on what's already manifested. And if anybody out there has met someone because we're all creators, but if you've met an uncreator, I would like to meet this person, to interview them. Like if anybody is like an unmanifester, like we can all manifest, but can we unmanifest anything? And humanity right now, it's very easy to look at what's already physically manifested, whether we're looking at the news. I highly don't recommend that you do, because even if you wherever you choose to get your world events or whatever's going on, if you look tomorrow, it's going to be the same story, but intensified, with more fear, with more spin, with more agenda. And it just is what it is. Now, I see it and feel it just like the rest of humanity. However, our only power lies in the saying, not really feeling that. What is it that I would like to see? And now we put our attention and energy on that, not needing to know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, who's going to be involved. These are going to all come synchronistically, just like the rest of our life experience. We can't predict any of this stuff in this 3D world. And so when we realize that, now we can let go of this has to happen this way, or I hate that they're doing this, and I hate that you have no power there. Like you see it, life experience causes the desire. Now let's become creators. Easier said than done sometimes. However, this is the only power that any of us have to create. And the reason that we want to create, again, is because of the life experience. And if you choose to practice, we'll be able to create anything that we desire in humanity and our personal lives as well. So you inspired lots of things just out of me, because it's so important. Like whenever we're speaking about any of this stuff, it's not like there's only Abria or only people where he's from can create, or only where you're from. Like we're all just different expressions of the same stuff, like the same energy. Like we're all just different expressions of it, expressing it in these physical avatars. So there's no one any better or worse. You just realize you're here in this incarnation, with the parents that you had and the location that you were born, with some of the soul contracts that you're fulfilling. And that's a whole nother direction of the conversation. But just know that all these life experiences were meant for you, because otherwise you wouldn't have had them. Now it's like, what is your desires from here? And let's create the world that we want to see. We can all do that. So thank you for inspiring all that, Bria, because I wanted. I love it. Any of you guys that have questions, ask them on Abria's end. He can see you. Or if you guys want to join on Zoom, you guys can ask questions in the chat. We'll flow on anything that is inspired. If you're here tuned in live, it's not by accident. So I always love letting people tune in live on these transmissions. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, which I have it streaming in both places right now, you have to join us on Zoom. So it's universalabundance.co/Abria, ABRIA, podcast. Join us on Zoom, and you can ask questions in the chat. So what I'm always curious about, Abria, as far as you're just back in Bali. Am I allowed to say that you have a little one on the way? Is that something that you're congrats in advance on that. That's, I know, one of the answers to this question of what are you excited about right now? What's evolving in your world? What's your focus now as you've just gotten back to Bali? And I apologize if I guess even if I wasn't allowed to say that, if you want to tell I didn't know how else to ask. I could have sent you a private chat on Zoom. Like, can I bring this up? But what are you most focused on these days, and what are you excited about right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, no, it's absolutely open, and people and our audiences and friends know that we're creating and welcoming our child here to Bali in the next month or so. And the main things that are of focus in regards to our lifestyle and our way of being and practices are really just self-care. And in a time that has a lot of people shifted in their narrative because we're highly influenced, right, by environment, as you were sharing with the news, politics, um, religion, and whomever may be in a different archetype of belief systems. Everyone has a choice to focus on what they want to, and we chose to come back to Bali to be in an environment where we're not influenced so much by the Western world, but also able to still stay tuned in regards to, it's not like we're just shutting down and releasing our senses of what we see and hear. But we also want to know what's tangible, what's actually happened based on, connections to people, as we have friends in every major continent in the world and hundreds of cities. So what's really the focus right now is to create a way for people to connect with themselves in a accessible way. And I've, with my good friends and partners, my beloved that's here with us, and we're sharing several things, and one of them is an online kind of course that people can participate in, and it's all about dream mapping. And the dream mapping is a self-care program that people can tune into and choose a week or 21 days or a 30-day deep dive into practices and lifestyle hacks that will enable people to become more empowered by really going into what it is that we want to focus on. Because if we have 100% attention, and that's our currency, right? It's like $100, and we put $20 to this focus point and $20 to this, and then we have social media, which is another $20, and we only have like 40% left. Where's that energy and attention going to? And what is it that we focus on? Because if we focus on something that's maybe not what we wish to experience in our life enough, we have a higher chance of actualizing that which we don't want because we focus on it more. Why? Because it's popping up on social media and it's becoming something that's weaponized, or is it something that we've really see every single day, and we're hearing traffic and the sirens in a big city. It's all based on what we choose. Now, it's not like we're going to just walk around with headphones on the whole time and blinders on, so we're like a racehorse and can't see out the peripheral. The idea is to be able to actually use our senses intentionally. When I get online, I choose when I want to go look at something. I have no notification pop up on my phone. I have nothing. I have to know by my own will and intention, because I'm sovereign to choose, that I'm going into Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. So I have to want to know and have an interest in it. And then what I do is kind of old school. These are all part of the programs in the dream mapping course, is to have a planner and a bit of a notebook and write it down. So if a thought comes through my mind, I can bring it from the mind into the 3D, this dimension, write it down. Now I can hold it. Now I'm connected to it, as opposed to having something just texted on my phone. But guess what? Phone battery dies. I'm not able to get back in there. Isn't it interesting? When we're supposed to have technologies that help us become more efficient, then we become reliant on them, and no longer is it the product, but we are the product of it. And it's just really, really something that I'm sharing to call out, because it's not easy to become a practitioner of what we actually wish to live, because we're told so many years that we're not worthy of something, we're not abundant of that enough. And compared to what? Compared to who? If we want to make it really tangible, we have an opportunity to realize we have so much, but what is showing us or telling us that we don't? And with that time here, along with birthing our child, is to launch this program. that we can allow for people to tune into, so that they can see, we have guidance of someone that's actually practicing it. And they're not trying to show that it's not accessible by being like, oh, we're making millions of dollars and we're trying to sell, or I'm really excited about something, when someone asks me, are you excited about anything in particular, I honestly directly say, I'm not really excited about anything until the moment that I'm experiencing it.
Yeah.
It's not going to sell a lot of things, to be honest, because it's not going to get people pumped up, but I want to allow for people to have their own thought, not because they're hearing my voice go up and down and then, waving my arms around the screen. I have a different way of experiencing my dreams, but when they do happen, I'll tell you what, I'm hooting and hollering. When I'm on the motorbike back in Bali and flowing down the road, and knowing that I'm in a space where I can create, like, immediately, yeah, I'm going off. But I don't have that recorded. I don't have a GoPro on me at that point, and I'm like sharing with people, you guys got to get out here. We're hosting retreats here. We're looking at land and developing all types of things. And when the time aligns, people will come. When things open back up, that will have to start within the mind. Because in a time that you wouldn't think that you can travel, well, we just did. So who's to say that you can't do it? There's a way to do anything. There's a way to do everything. It just depends on your why. And this goes back to the dream mapping, because in the original Dream It Real, I asked, we have to find out and identify our why, meaning we need to know our reason that's rooting us so deeply that we would grow our roots on the edge of a river and become 200 feet tall. We have a why of why we're there, as a tree along the river in Maui. Like, we would just look at any environment and every environment, from the smallest things to the biggest things, because there's a reason why. We don't need to know and justify why this ant is walking down, the road. It's doing its mission. I can't figure out why in my perspective, because I'm in a different, experience. But these are all things that will really help people, because the whole point of it is self-care. If people don't have at least a bit of a vision, it's hard to get an emotional feeling enough to invoke it to 3D and to make it tangible. And that's something that I feel like people are wondering what they're here for and what they should do. And they have to first acknowledge where they are. Where am I at in my current character? What do I believe in, really? And then that often helps people get at least a platform. And that platform, then they work on identifying their why. You identify your why, now you have your what you're not fighting for, but what you're playing for. Because it doesn't have to go back to when we were programmed as warriors to play ball. We don't have to destroy anyone. What we have to destroy is the idea of going to war, because that just creates more duality. But if we play and everyone plays, everyone's going to have so much fun. Whether they win or lose, they're like, someone on the losing team could have hit a home run. Did they have a bad game? No. It just depends on the perspective of who's assuming their role and taking things into their own heart and coming from love, not for love, because then that's already a separation. And the whole idea of even teaching yoga, I walk into yoga studios, people have no idea who I am, and they're like, oh, have you done yoga before? Oh yeah, a little bit. I've been teaching and practicing for 25 years, but I'm not the archetype. And that's cool, and I do that with everything. And thankfully I'm a hybrid. I'm blended with different nationalities, so no one knows who the heck or where the heck I'm from. And that's the future, is that we are learning to hybrid ourselves in different ways so that we can adapt and connect with people if we truly wish to do that. And if not, that's also cool. But at least then we know who our tribe is and who we're calling out and who we're calling in. Because I don't want to play with everyone. I want to play with the ones that are actually in the practice of it. And that's why we're online right now.
There's so much wisdom in what you just shared, Abria. There's 3 things I'm going to hit on that. And the third thing just came just a few moments ago. But when you just... I want to demystify manifestation for everybody out there, because everybody's like, how do I manifest? How do I manifest? Like, that's a question that I hear all the time. How do I manifest? So first and foremost, realize that every moment is a manifestation of the moment. And the thoughts that you're thinking is a manifestation of thought. And so you're always manifesting. Now, the question is, are we manifesting what it is that we would like to see evolve in our life, or are we manifesting more of what we would not like to see? And Abria hit on this, and the conversation when it comes to focus is so important. And in my life, like for years, here's what I did. I had all the different. I love how you broke it down. It's like you have $20 here, $20 here, $40 on social media, all these things. This was the story of my life, dating back to MySpace days. Like some of you guys are too young to know MySpace, but I had the top 8, and you couldn't be on my top 8 if you were living a life, because this was back in the time where I hurt myself and I just realized I wasn't going to play professional sports. So it was a very painful time. I couldn't look at people on social media for too long and not feel not so good about myself, because I was in that comparison, which is the thief of joy for any of us that we're doing that out there. But what I would always do is I would put a little bit of time and energy. I get excited about something. So, you go out there and you watch a motivational video out there, and you put a little attention and energy on something like, yeah, this is going to be it. This is going to help me manifest like my dreams and all of these things. And then what I would do, and maybe you're out there, maybe you do this sometimes too, I would check the scoreboard. I'd be like, how's it going? Like, is it manifesting yet? Is my dreams coming true yet? And nothing was happening yet. I was like, oh, maybe this is not working, or maybe I'm not doing something right. So then I put my $20 into another thing. And then I was going all around, not realizing that the process of manifestation is the same for us all. If we realize at some point in human history, like I'm sitting in a chair right now, Abria is sitting in a chair. Did you realize that at one point in human history there were no chairs? Like it took a human to have a vision of, you know what? I'm tired of having to go with my family over here to the big rock in the middle of the area to where we can not sit on the ground. Like we need to create something. And I guarantee you there were other people that didn't have that vision. They were like, create a chair? Like, what do we need that for? Like, I'm sitting on the ground. Like, you're silly for doing that. But they had to put their attention and their energy, their focus on the creation of chair. Probably fell down a lot. Probably had lots of materials that they thought about using before they picked the right stuff. But eventually, they manifested the full physical manifestation of chair. Would not likely have done it if they were so scattered with their attention and energy, and definitely wouldn't have done it if they were checking the score like me, because I would have fell down once earlier in my life and been like, nah, I'm gonna go create something else, because I want to. So for you guys out there, like I highly recommend what Abria just described as far as what he's creating right now, as far as the being able, because the second thing that he inspired me to share, as far as being able to, it's very difficult without a vision to be able to capture the feeling, the essence of it, to be able to really tap into that frequency. And it's going to be very difficult to bring things into the third dimensional world if we can't tap into the frequency. Because if you were like me, especially checking the scoreboard, you're more tapped into the frequency of, I don't have that thing. I don't have the success. I didn't make it in sports. I moved to LA to try to be a movie star because I didn't make it as a pro athlete. Like, so I went from one of the most challenging, industries in the world, which if I knew what I knew now, I probably could have manifested some things differently, but there's a reason why I didn't, because now I'm doing all the things that I'm doing currently. But I mean, my gosh, like to not be able to have the vision, which I didn't, and to be able to tune into the frequency, I was on the frequency of the lack of it. And so I continue to manifest lack, and just unhappiness, because I was so needing that in order to feel good now. And the third thing that you inspire, which is so powerful, when Abria said that he gets excited for the manifestation when he's in the moment of it. If anybody out there, you get to that point where you don't need the I preach this all the time. Like, we don't need the manifestation in order to be enjoying the moment right where we are. The manifestations will come, and that'll just be another part of the right now journey, because whenever we get to anywhere where we physically manifest anything, the moment's always going to be now. It's only one moment that exists for any of us as humans. It's the now moment. If we choose to think about something in the past, whether it was something pleasurable or painful, you're still thinking about it right now. So you're just choosing to put your attention and energy on that. So if we get to the point where we can just appreciate the moment that we're in for that, whether you're putting it on social media or not, I like the analogy that you said, then you'll manifest all the things way easier. But it's not that you needed it. You're of course, we're excited to manifest things. We want to manifest relationships, health goals, financial goals, all these things. But if you don't need it in order to feel good in the moment, to be able to enjoy the present, watch how quickly things start to manifest. So, I feel like everything you say, Bree, is going to inspire some type of conversation like that into me. But it's just so much wisdom in what you share. I love it. Like your program, I'm already seeing, because yeah, without vision, like people, good luck being a creator if you don't have a vision first. If you're not like really, molding your vision, being able to enjoy your vision, like without even the tangible physical manifestation of it. If you can enjoy the vision, oh my gosh, like that's coming true. That's already the manifestation process has already begun the second that you can even think about it. You can see it in your mind. You can hold it in your hand. The ancient Egyptian said, and he said this as well. So I guess this is the fourth thing, but this is going to be quick. As it is written, so it shall be. So if you take it from, like Abria said, from the mind onto the physical, write it down. They were doing this on wall paintings with hieroglyphics, and all of a sudden there's pyramids and whatever. So yes, you said lots of things. Beautiful. I love it. I love what you just inspired out of me. You guys rewind and listen to that whole segment again. That will be valuable for you. And then definitely connect with Abria if you're not already, and tune in with him as he's doing the dream workshop, because that's awesome. I love it.
Thank you, bro. Thanks for.
Yeah. Okay. So I have another question for you that I always love to ask everybody. And really, if I'm talking to any of you guys out there one-on-one, this would be all that I really want to know from you, because I know that you've lived the amount of life that you've lived up until this moment. And so now you have the desires that you have. You see the things that the rest of us don't see because we haven't lived your life. So it's a vision question. And I'm always just curious, like and you've already kind of hinted at it and kind of shared, like talking about the retreats and looking at land. So I'm actually kind of curious to hear specifically what you've already envisioned for that. And if I ask Abria this question a year from now, he's going to have another year of life experiences. So it will be even more evolved. And that goes for all of us. Like, so if I'm talking to you in the moment, I just want to know, as of this moment, what is your vision for, whether it be your life, for your family, for your community, for humanity, whatever it is that's flowed through your mind's eye. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. Where I am currently within my life, knowing that our child is soon to be here, the opportunity that I have to rewrite my story, especially of the masculine, is one of my primary intentions, because the masculine has put so much harm, because it's been so harmed, onto other masculine, onto other feminine, and the idea of being able to be the one that is actually able to not have to work hard to explain to my mother about something where she just completely stands there and says, no, I'm not interested in that, I'm not open to that, even though I've had to figure out ways to be able to communicate with her so that she makes the decision on her own without me thinking that I can influence her. The whole idea here is that I'm in the practice of inspiration, not influencing, because that's different when you're offering breath to someone to go deeper into themselves. So the idea that I know, at least as of right now, is that I have an opportunity to rewrite my whole masculine story of my father's lineage and grandfather and beyond, because it's only when I'm able to sit here and go, I'm willing to take full responsibility, and if that means that I'm going to die because of it, not like physically, but personality, because of my deep conditions and programs that I've been gifted, I'm not going to look at it as a bad thing. I'm just going to have to say, am I really going to take responsibility if I'm opening up this field to someone that's willing to sit for 9 months and bear our child? So I feel that that's a big thing in rewriting my current story, that it will affect all of my lineage. Anyone that came before me, I'm actually the one that can change the whole thing. So that's how powerful manifestation and our ability to dream it real, which is a slogan for our company. We make all kinds of fun stuff just to help give people the idea of, dream it real is to just do it, to make it happen now. So we have the opportunity when we see someone or meet someone for the first time that's so beautiful that we've put our attention, right, our currency, our electricity is in and on that person, that we're starting to envision what it's like to live our life with that person. We're envisioning our child and energy with that person. So we've already done it. We've already kissed that person. We've already made love. We've already had the children because we felt it in that moment. Now, it's not actually in the 3D yet. That would take a lot of real deep resonance. And so for individuals that are not so good with communication and connection to themselves, because there's so much dissonance within what how they've been programmed. That no wonder the feminine has to work so hard to find a good man that's willing to be responsible of themselves, because they're just trying to get in there and get some type of energy, feel the moment, as opposed to staying in and leaning into it. I'm willing to go all the way into this, despite knowing that it's not forever, as nothing's forever. No love is without conditions. And I say that to my partner all the time. I do not wish to love you with conditions, but I'll love you moment by moment, absolutely. And unless something really changes in the 3D to the point where I can't handle it within my mentality, only then can we talk a little bit further about it. But that's not an easy thing to consider, being that we want to have the fairy tale story. And who wrote the fairy tale story? Hollywood. Who wrote all the ideals of these things lasting forever? Some other one in when Hollywood was back thousands of years ago, and it was, written and then rewritten and rewritten. So coming back to ahead, I'm rewriting my story, and this is my opportunity, because the child is coming, and I'll be that father that I never had, there for me in that way that I had perceived, or that I had dreamed, or that I was told was meant to be. And what I'll be able to do is not have any of it unfold where I'm thinking that I can teach this child, how to be, influence the child with my practices of yoga. Because I played baseball, or I have, a team that I root for, and give a child a jersey with a name of somebody else on it, or a team of somebody, why would one do that? Unless they're deeply conditioned. Why not be your own team? Why not be your own family name? Why not create our own logo and our emblem and our crest? This is a different way of experience. I totally get it. It's not easy to dream up your own dream. So what do people do? They follow somebody else's dream. And to get to that dream, they're going to then become that person's dream. But what separated that person to where, a Steve Jobs or whomever, Richard Branson, created their own story? It's because they were willing to sacrifice and be like, I'm not going to follow anyone else, but I'm the lead. And that's a lot of responsibility. It's kind of coming into the remembrance that we all have superpowers and that we're all superhuman. Because all of a sudden, if you talk to or sit and listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's talking about people that go through protocols of taking, medications, and then others that take something that's not even real, but because they took something, they all of a sudden had the belief system. It's the whole narrative with what's going on within our culture right now, being feared to get away and not go into nature and not be in the sunshine and not be in the ocean and the waters. Well, those are elemental connections and the closest connections that I know of being God and Goddess in this 3D. So if people are then squished into a place where they can't socialize and they can't literally breathe because the mask is put on, well, that's what we've been doing all this time without even having something covering our face. We're masking our realities by hiding behind screens and not really being vulnerable enough to just be who we are, because it's not enough based on some type of archetype that's been programmed for us to believe this is who we should be like, this is what we should wear, this is the brand we should rock. No, make your own brand, make your own mantra, make your own kind of dream, ideal life. And if we really consider what ancient civilizations had done so long ago, is they always spoke about the dream world, this other dimension beyond the actual 3D. When we dream so lucidly and we can actually move our dreams, this is really potent, because now we're able to realize that maybe we do have an influence in this whole thing, both in the dream world and in the real world. And realizing that if there's two of something, there's got to be some duality, and that means that there's a lot of illusion coming in. So can we be discerning with what we take in? And I think this is what my ideals were in times past, and then I stopped thinking, and I'm like, this is where my focus needs to be. I need to stop thinking and actually feel, because the thought's in the mind, but the felt is here, and shifting and learning how to play with all of those things, those senses that we know we have, the 5. Could we have more? Potentially. if we want to believe that. You're walking down the street, no one's behind you, you have a feeling, you turn around, there's someone there. What sense is that? We have all this aura, our whole body, as we're based on all these elements of earth and water and air and beyond and light. And it's all vibrations. No wonder people love to feel music and want to sing, but they want to sing in their voice, not trying to copy somebody else's. So the idea is, Bob would tell us, all these sacred guardians would tell us that when it hits you, you feel all right. When music hits you, you feel all right. Well, that's a vibe. And you can feel a vibe through a screen. You can feel a vibe through sound. You can feel a vibe through water. And you'll just know, like, I got to get out of here. And we have to decide at that moment whether we're willing to actually trust and listen to our intuition, which is sense. It's a sense that's not labeled and it's not marketed. Use your intuition sense. Don't always be in too much electricity and stuff when we're a lot of water and electricity. We're based on it, so our vibe might change. And just because things are being shared with us doesn't mean we need to consume it. Just like if somebody calls us, we don't need to answer the call. But if we do answer the call, then we're responsible for that call at that time because we chose. These are just things that I'm like, oh, that's a lot. That's a lot for me to accept and be willing to and vulnerably open to work with, because it's probably, at least at this point in my life, the most potent time where I can be so influential in my past and my future now. So I'm bending all the timelines into the moment, like you said, the power of now and be here now, and from Eckhart Tolle to Ram Dass to Dream It Real, it's the same thing. We're saying the same things in different ways in order to reach our audiences so that we can also feel connected as well. And it's kind of like, if you're really into sports and you know one of the biggest slogans in the world is just do it, and if their slogan was just try it, no one's doing nothing. No one's being champions. No one's winning, and people want to win. The difference now is, can we shift winning to just being accepting and acknowledging that we're actually okay not having to win, but we've been programmed to compete. And yeah, looking at the numbers, how many views did we get? How many comments did we get? Like, all that stuff will stimulate electricity in the alchemy of our mind to have a feeling of self-worth. But that's false. The self-worth is already there. We just get to connect with a lot of people that then they start to say, wow, this is inspiring. I'm actually taking a breath. I'm going to write this down, and I want to invest my time and energy and love into knowing more about this conversation. Yeah, rewind it as many times as you need. Because what you said earlier was reminders. All of this is memories. And water holds memory, and we are of water because we were born in water. So we have a lot to remember. Will we remember it? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, no problem. But if we're in the flow like I am, I tend to then only flow with those that would be in that flow. If they can't keep in the flow, that's okay. I don't disregard or not love them anymore. But I have a choice, right? And where I allocate my energy and my electricity and my attention, my love, it's all the same difference of being in the moment. And that's what I really am in practice of.
I love it. So much wisdom there, Abria. I love it so much. Like, I could dive in all over the place there as well. But I just encourage you guys to. I think this is an episode where I highly recommend re-listening and pay really close attention, be present to it, because you can just pick up just awesome reminders throughout the whole thing. I love it so much. The dream it real. I love that. I love that slogan. And yeah, just try it. Like, try to pick up your pen right now out there, anywhere you are. Try to pick up something. Like, you can't just try. You just do it. You just pick it up. So no, I love it so much. And if you guys that are here tuned in have a question, ask it now. But this has been fun, brother. Collaborating with you, and I'm already affirming that this is our first co-creation, and we will co-create more. I already have some things in mind that I want to share with you, and that I'm excited to see. Bali is there's a it's an energy center not only just for the planet, how it's also been calling me for a while. Because everything that I do is collaborative, and it's all about just bringing different people together so that if someone needs to have their light bulb moment from Abria today, you've gotten it. Like, you've been attracted to this conversation for a reason, whether you're hearing it now with us live or 100 years from now. This is what makes it fun, like co-creating and being alive in 2020 is nothing is just being shared, and people will be able to discover this like wherever humanity sits 50 years from now, and it'll still be very relevant, just as relevant as now as it will be then, as it was 100 years ago. And so it's just beautiful. And so I appreciate you coming to play with me. It says, I'm reading here. I love it. I love it. Yeah, if you guys have a question, put it there now. But Abria, I really appreciate you, and I'm definitely affirming that I'll be out there to co-create some stuff with you out there in Bali when timing is right. And I don't know how much our U.S. passport is welcomed in Bali right now, but you seem to have been able to travel over there easily. So
just aligning the right visa, and just knowing and trusting that you get your medical exam just wrapped and ready. I mean, it's literally just showing them papers. Once we've done like the footwork ourselves, and then it's all good.
I love it. I love it. Anything you want the audience to know as far as that you have going on, because you have the course coming up, anything you want them to know that you want to promote, or your links will be so they can find you on social media if they're not already connected, but anything you want them to know?
Yeah, feel like if there's any interest in that is that people are feeling hesitant about, or they're feeling really confident in, the medium that we're able to offer is really a mix of lifestyle coaching mixed with dream manifestation and personal and mental wellness. So I feel that I call that in one big thing, kind of like a self-care package, that this is something that we should all look into, whether people have really good skills in communicating or scheduling, because it's the planning that really allows us to get anywhere that we go. And the thing is that we disregard it to the minor things that we do on a day-to-day basis, such as going to the grocery store and buying food for ourselves to make dinner. But if we have an intention as simple as that we can put a list together, whether written or not, in the mind, and then we can go to the store and get all the ingredients, and we can scan through them well enough to where we get everything that we need in regards to all the tools and things that we bring back to the kitchen, and all of a sudden we make the meal, and then we're experiencing our intention with having a nice dinner with pasta and bread and whatever it is. Why is it that so easy, but it's not when it comes to a grander scale in regards to both financially or physicality? Because you really want that Italian meal, and you got the pizza and you got everything there. Because it's so easy, because literally we can order it, throw it in the microwave, or we can have it delivered to us, we forget about all the steps that it took for all that food to actually grow. And then we're taking things that may not be organically activated to where it'll absorb in the body, and then all of a sudden now we're going back to the things of ease, and then we're able to manifest having a nice with all the ingredients, and we have the tools at home, but we can't do that within our wellness. And I think it goes back to, you want pizza and the Italian meal more than you want the physical wellness and strength and mental clarity. You want the food more than you want the feeling of health and wellness. Or you want the food more than you want the energy in and around you're experiencing and living in Bali. It's that much easier and convenient, and that's what the whole system is set to make it so comfortable that you don't leave and you don't question and you don't ask, because you got to raise your hand and you got to jump through the passport and you got to get the visa and then you got the medical course they're going to make it hard, because what ends up happening is when you end up getting out there and you start real time, heart, mind, everything starts blowing open, and we realize, wow, this has been here the whole time. And it's anyone. You could from a foreign country where you don't have that much going on, but there's this woman that was from North Korea, which is not where you can get out of, and the whole thing going on out there, and she saw lights all the way into China, distance, and her why was that she kept visualizing simply a bowl of rice. So she went with her mother and went through the fields, which if any guards had seen them with a spotlight, they would have been shot. But the intention of her just simply wanting that bowl of rice was enough for her to get all the way to China over however long it took them, and then eventually being in asylum to where she could get out of China and get to America. And I forget this. Like, dang, that why is pretty fierce, because it was food-based. It was a reason to be able to have something that she couldn't have. And she had her reason so well focused on that nothing could deter her from that experience. So therefore, she experienced it. And not only that, freedom. So, like, how hard do we have it compared to what? Compared to who? And if we then start to, not in comparison in a bad way, but in comparison into gratitude and gratefulness for what we do have, because that's the thing that we're kind of conditioned to believe. We don't have enough. We're not smart enough. We're not fast enough. Well, guess what? Not everyone's aesthetically strength and focused enough to be able to play a professional sport. I'm sorry, it's just not possible. But those that are, like you and I have, Noel, and we're sitting here going, man, I could have played there. But we're not for a reason. Clearly. Because if we had played there, you know how many things we could have done that we might have regretted? You know how much money we could have made and things that we could have focused on outside? And how many people would we have helped then?
Not many for me. I love it.
So yeah, that's what I would share for people. Just like tune in, and it's for people that don't have good clarity in their dreaming, or do have good clarity in their dreaming. Because there's always something that I've noticed that people that have really great insight, spiritual practices, but don't have the physical strength and the mental focus to create a schedule in how to train, and what foods to eat, and when to cleanse, and when to take breaks in order to rest enough to be able to rebuild. There's not enough education on it. The first thing that we should, I feel, learn when we're younger is how to manage and care and maintain the physical body. So in other words, we should learn all about kinesiology, biochemistry, or enough to be able to know these are what affect bodies in general. Now, I have to be learning how it affects me, because some things affect me positively more than others, and things are really detrimental more than. So it's like learning our constitution. And in Ayurveda or medicine, there's these different doshas, and these different doshas will help distinguish what resonates in people's bodies more, and it can share and show people's different body types. And the whole point is to create balance in the three different doshas is what we're seeking, is to create harmony. We're constantly wanting to seek harmony within our relationships, within our work and play and business life. So this is just a good way to look at things in a more holistic approach. So we're not too heavy in the physical, not too heavy in the spiritual. Don't want to meditate, no problem. Garden, same difference. Just call it whatever you want. It's all the words, how we say the words, how frequently we see things, because this is repetition. If we're practicing and playing baseball, you got to throw a certain amount of times, and that's who you want to be, a little bit concerned of. Someone that knows how to throw that ball and has thrown it thousands of times, they're going to be very accurate with that throw. And then, but also the rest, the recovery, the re-energizing, what to fuel the body with after training, hydration, and all of these things. Is one of the other things that we launched is within this Japanese wellness company called Anagic, and it's all about alkaline water. And I love it. I love the water. I love being structured and amplified. But there's also a business aspect on it. I don't want to sell machines. I'm just going to sell and offer a lifestyle around how important water is, being that we're from water. We need water every day. Drinking it or washing, bathing, purifying, cleansing. So then it's a different approach, and it's much easier to sell something when we don't try to sell it. It's just like people want it. And I feel people want to live their dreams. And but when it becomes more than a want, like it's more than a desire, they need it. Now they're starting to really focus on that's more of a why. I need to be well. I'm going to stop eating these foods and having this pasta 7 days a week, because that's going to shift their whole alchemy and give them an opportunity to maybe try something else that could be more resonant. Unless someone's constitution can handle pasta, which there's some people that can. Bless them. That's amazing. But I would say for me, in a lot of the programs we offer, we share and offer and teach people in suggestion to cleanse, because it's in the cleansing and taking breaks on food and even taking breaks on liquids. People start realizing that the body's natural inherent gifts are so powerful, it will naturally destroy a lot of the illness that we have. And that's not easy for people to believe unless they've experienced it. So these are just some suggestions. If people are interested to know more about this, you can always look it up online. But we've had the practice in offering it, because most of our retreats and our teacher training, it's mandatory that you have to do a 3-day juice fast cleanse with eventually colonics and eventually all this other stuff, so that when the slate is so clean that when new foods are reintroduced, everyone becomes so amplified that they can change their body and the physical in 1 week faster than they can do in months, because they're in the environment, they're in the support system of other people that are experiencing it, and they're going deep within their inner child work and their whatever you might call shadow or light. It's the same difference, two different sides of a coin. And I feel like that's something that people are really seeking. Whether they do it or not, that's on them at their time that they feel most ready and prepared. So that's what I would share to offer. And looking on pranaforceyoga.com, or check us out on Instagram. My personal account is private, but I accept people if I know who they are, and that's part of my own thing. I don't want to have a lot of people that I don't know. I want to know that people are really seeking and looking at what I'm sharing and reflecting, because that's going to amplify my energy. And that's not a common thing when we're trying to get more people to see things or sell things or create a network. And that's okay for me, because when I'm dreaming the real dream, when you see me out surfing and building surfboards and bringing people into the first time they've ever stood on a surfboard, that's so much more powerful than just telling people about it. I don't have to tell people about it, because I got one person that actually experienced it in real time, not online. That's a little bit of a different approach, but it's way more fun when you're here with a crew of people that are really lit and focus on what they're good at, as opposed to people that are just trying to find their flow. We're happy to support that too, but everyone's a master at something and they don't even know it. And that's like, wow. I walk past people every single day and I don't know what their superpowers are, but I can feel it, and I'm grateful for that. And there's times that I get butted up with someone that's really putting me in a position of feeling resistance, and I'm feeling like, wow, this person's got a vibe. I have to make a choice whether I'm that and have a confrontation, or I'm going to disengage and soften myself and be like, what, that's not even actually my story. However, I appreciate myself disengaging and walking away, or whatever I need to do before I unleash I hurt feelings, or put me in the position of having to own now what I thought I could help somebody with, or try to hurt somebody else's person.
I love it, brother. This has been such a you've taken this conversation in so many directions. I will say that when I'm in Bali, because I can tell it's a passion for you to help people get on the surfboard for the first time. If I still haven't ever attempted surfing, which I think I would be really good at, because I'm very athletic and I have good balance, and I had a little bit of younger fear of the ocean when I was living in California. This was years ago. Now that I've been in the warm water here in Miami, like I actually really like being in the water. So But we don't have
Nice.
waves. We don't have waves here, so there's no surfing lessons going on in Miami. So when I'm in Bali, if that's in alignment, I'm gonna go out there with you guys and see what I can do, because I'm actually very curious. I feel like it would be really fun to do it.
Yeah, February, early Feb to mid Feb, we're actually going to launch a week-long yoga surf camp, and it's not going to be super intense. We're going to have amazing food. It's all vegan, all organic, and it's going to be in Uluwatu, which is in the most southern part of Bali. We're going to have
Is that where you
a
are
little excursion.
currently? Is that where you are currently? The south, the where you just said?
Most southern part of Bali, which is Uluwatu,
Okay.
and we're going to have visits to temples and water cleansings and sound ceremonies, and basically just have a time to really do the self-care practices. And then, we also build these instruments, these hand pans here, and have friends that build them all over the world. So depending on where they're located, and if people want to tune into that, so much stuff. But that's going to be some of the offerings that we offer for next year, because we want to share with people, like, put the plan together. If it required learning how to get everything in order and planned to get here, or wherever someone wants to go, we do that. We live it. We know how to do it because we've actually done it, and that it keeps a lot of momentum on and under our board, so that we can catch the wave. It's like, it's all timing, and as silly as the illusion of time is for me, like, I still got to work with the schedule thing and look at how to organize things in other parts of the world, despite not always wanting to have a schedule. But at the same time, it's the structure, that masculine side of structure is so helpful, but the feminine side of fluidity and water is also so helpful, because it allows us to adjust based on our current situations. Yeah, would love to have you out here and co-create events here where we could bring. Someone actually just messaged me on Instagram and said, we'd love to know when the men's groups are, specifically to the masculine, because it's not common that people see men being able to speak so clearly and not be about something that's maybe not so interesting or what we need right now. So that was really nice message that was posted on Instagram, and it's something we could talk about more and tune into.
Absolutely. I have things that I'll share with you for sure that are already in motion, as far as the manifestation process has begun, and Bali is I've been affirming this for years, that it's a big part of what I'm creating here in humanity. And it's just that when I was in Australia a few years ago, I ended up going to Hong Kong. My plan was to go to Bali on the way back and then go all the way back through Australia. But I had too much fun in Hong Kong and stayed, and then ended up going to a Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation retreat that a close friend of mine said, Noel, this will change your life. Like, you need to come back to the States and come to this. And I was like, I'm in Hong Kong right now, and had to make a decision, like, literally in 24 hours to fly to Vegas to take his pre-retreat to be able to go to his actual retreat in Cancun. Best decision of my life. But I didn't get to go back through Bali. So it's still, but I know that there's things that are happening out there. So definitely excited for that.
Let us know for sure. We'd love to support, and we have connections to anything and everything here. Venues, villas, the retreat locations that we're looking at for surfing and or yoga, because I teach the hot yoga as well as normal practices, and it's just not that pulse of fitness and wellness, but also the spiritual and the creative, co-creative, environment of networkers that are really good at what we do, especially knowing that we're using technology in a way that's of support. And then also, my big thing is I need to know tangible stuff. So I'm all about real estate, and I've been a real estate broker for a long time in California, and we have developed our lifestyle being able to buy property so that we can not have to rent everywhere and pay somebody else's mortgage, and be able to lean into it so it's custom to how we would like things to be. And yeah, once you see it in Bali, you're going to be impressed, I feel, what you can do back home and then what you might want to do abroad. And a lot of like-hearted people here that are moving from that space of intention. So it'll be fun to talk story about that too.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna leave this to be continued because I could flow with you all night and all day for you. And I know I'm gonna let you move into your beautiful. What the heck day is today? Tuesday for you. And I just appreciate you coming on and co-creating. And you guys definitely share this episode. If you guys are watching this on the stream, it's going to be here to be able to be shared for 24 hours. And then the audio will come out, give it some time on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere else. And then the video is going to be permanently inside of the Universal Abundance community, which I'm going to share more with you about Abria as well. Just for everybody out there, like we're all in this together. And the more of us that come together like this and co-create, for you out there that are listening live, hopefully you got something that, in the moment can help you and can move you forward, and some new awareness, some new reminders. And for those of you guys listening 20 years from now, 100 years from now, the same thing. This is the intention of this conversation, and conversation that I want to have with you anyway, Abria. And for me, it's just, we're going to give us all this technology. We might as well record it. We might as well share it and help other people with it. And that's what I'm all about. So appreciate you for coming and sharing your time with us today, and look forward to co-creating more with you in the future whenever timing is right.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and stay in touch.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, we'll tune in soon. I'm gonna stop the stream. Abria, I'll say bye to you here really quick. Stop the stream. Done.